Hi, welcome back to my channel. It is the beginning of August and we've had really some crazy heat wave for the past few days and more is expected, and I haven't been able to come out in the garden just for that reason. It's just been so hot. Today it is a lot cooler, but we are expecting a lot of the heat wave to continue for the rest of the week. So the question is, how did my roses cope under this extreme heat? And I can show you around just to look at some of the roses that have done very well and some roses that haven't. And this is Beverly. Beverly is known as Pink Perfection, and this one really has done extremely well under the extreme heat. And in fact, it seems to love the heat. Yeah, so not fazed by the heat whatsoever. Harlow Car, although there isn't that many blooms, but I don't think that's gonna fare well against this heat. And Mary Rose, there's not many blooms to show you, but I will show you Danny, which really has suffered really dearly due to this heat stroke. Look at that. All these blooms were only a matter of days, and it was just destroyed, ruined by the severity of this heat wave we've been having. And it really is making such a mess on my floor. And Eustacia Vi has really coped very well. An excellent heat-tolerant rose this has been. And some of these blooms are not infected by the heat, but just fading, spent rather. Yeah, Eustacia Vi did very well, and so is Strawberry Hill, but not quite as well. As you can see, some of these blooms all dried up, and some more down there which is looking mighty fine. And Elizabeth, the blooms are getting bigger, and again this is in quite semi shade, so I can't really compare this to see how well it's coped with the heat, but it doesn't seem to have done too bad, and neither is Poet's Wife. And Poet's Wife, yeah, these blooms are done very well, but it is looking quite sad this time of the year, and quite expected. A lot of the yellow, the leaves are starting to become yellow. And look at the Duchess of Cornwall. Duchess of Cornwall really look absolutely gorgeous in cooler weather, but this past few days, some of these blooms, this is quite a robust rose. The petals are quite stiff and sturdy, but even that has been struggling under the heat. Look at all that. That's why I'm very reluctant to show you some of my roses, because they're not really looking their best. Oh, excuse me, I just nearly tripped over on my dripping system, and I think I will need to be getting rid of that because I don't really need that anymore. But yeah, Duchess of Cornwall. And this one here is Delightful Parfumer. I am assure you this rose will definitely be going. It doesn't like the rain, it doesn't like the heat. It is such a difficult rose. What does it like? Tell me. And the blooms were like this right in the beginning of the season, and I'm thinking maybe perhaps it likes to be in sunny location, but no, look at that. I am sure to get rid of this rose. It has given me little pleasure. And Penelope Lively didn't really cope with the heat very well. And some of these blooms are only a matter of a couple of days old, and yeah, look at that. Some of these blooms are freshly open, but it's okay. But it does have a lot of buds that are yet to open. That said, it is such a wonderful of a rose. Brilliant rose, this one. And Boscobel by David Austin. This is an excellent heat-tolerant rose. These blooms are about 5 days old, and even the heat didn't give it too much trouble. Beautiful color, salmony pink, and wow, the scent is amazing. A very good heat-tolerant rose. And this is Evelyn. Evelyn is also a very good heat-tolerant rose. I know this rose doesn't like UK weather that much. It doesn't like cooler weather, and it really thrives in the heat. Evelyn, what a wonderful specimen this has been. I've had very little trouble whatsoever with this rose. As you can see there, the leaves are very healthy. It absolutely has been a really amazing rose for me this year. And this is Lady Gardener. Lady Gardener has done very well, even under the strain of this heat, and producing a lot of fresh cane from the base, which is quite late in the season for that. So I will get some more flowers from this amazing rose. And this is Grace. Grace is done okay. Not excellent. Some of these blooms are very small. And another rose that has done pretty well is Dame Judi Dench. Dame Judi Dench is in a container at the moment, and it seems to be quite happy. And that bloom is there from Ancient Mariner. And this is Souvenir de Baden-Baden, and this is quite a terrible for our sunny weather. Look at that. These blooms are quite fresh. Only maybe a day or two. Look at that. They're all starting to shrivel up already. And that said, it is quite a decent rose. It's not a bad rose, and it just blooms in a very singular stem. And moving down there, this is another Tantau rose. This is Lady Capri, and Lady Capri is a very good heat-tolerant rose. There you can see it there. Yeah, as you see, although there isn't any flowers opening, but I think it's coped with the heat very well. And this time of the year, you often see a lot of these caterpillars, small caterpillar larvae or whatever you call it. What I do is I just pinch it away from the rose before it can eat any further. But that's quite a normal thing. You often occur this time of the season, and the only way you will see it is you see a lot of these black droppings. So that's when they're in your roses, as you can see there, right there. I'm not sure whether you can see in the camera. Yeah, there you see a lot of these black spots. They're droppings, from these little worms that have been eating your foliage. But I just nip the leaves off and then just put it in one side and let them eat to their heart's full. And this is Maid Marian. Maid Marian, what an absolute amazing rose. Even with this heat, and again, this has always been in flower non-stop. Even even up until now. And another very good heat tolerant rose, this would be Wallerton Old Hall. Wallerton Old Hall. I've seen some people that grows Wallerton Old Hall and it's covered with black spot, but yeah, there isn't no sign of any black spot on my Wallerton Old Hall. It really has been an absolute amazing performer. And this is Gertrude Jekyll. And Gertrude Jekyll, this is a bush form, and some people keep asking whether they can train this as a climber, and I can tell you exactly that you can train it as a climber. This is almost 7 foot tall, and previously I had 2 canes last year that was 10 foot long, and I had to trim it away because I didn't want it to climb. So now that I've got a rose arbor attached to this this part of the garden, I am going to train this one as a climber, and which I've done already. You see there? So this is a bush form of Gertrude, and I am going to train it as a climber. Abraham Darby loved this heat. Honestly, it really is. It thrives under this heat, and alongside Evelyn, these both retired David Austins just seems to love this heat. And just by looking at the foliage on these two, I've not had absolutely no health issues regarding these 2 roses. It really is such an amazing rose. And look at the color on that. Mixture of apricots, oranges, creams and yellow. What a beautiful rose. And in terms of scent, and Evelyn for me has better scent, but not by far. Just a bit slightly different, but this one I just prefer this scent on Evelyn a bit more. But I have to have a look at the Boscobel again, because it is just such a amazing rose. 4 David Austins in a row. Wow, such a wonderful heat tolerant rose this is, Boscobel. And yeah, and moving down there is White Parfumeur de Provence. And White Parfumeur de Provence is a very, very slow repeat flowering rose. And most of my roses are on their 3rd flush, and this one is only starting its 2nd flush. But I'm sure we get there very soon. And this next one doesn't like this heat. This is Pacific Blue, and bred by Tantau. Look at that. It's all dried up, and this bloom is only 2 days old. That said, this is a wonderful, wonderful hybrid tea, and the formation of these blooms is what you expect from hybrid tea rose. And without a doubt, one of the most fragrant Tantau roses in my garden. And what is a tomato plant doing there? I can't remember planting a tomato plant there. I'm going to smell that. It smells. Oh, look at that. Smells. Yeah, smells very tomatoey. And I'm going to just show you another excellent heat tolerant rose is Bliss Parfumeur. Bliss Parfumeur is a rose bred by Cordes, and without a doubt one of my most favorite of all Cordes roses. And this rose is well loved by many in the US, and it really loves this heat and not fazed by it whatsoever. Yeah, what a wonderful variety of Cordes rose this is. And moving on to the middle part of my border, this is Princess Anne, Princess Anne has been flowering quite well for me this year, but it isn't coping very well with the heat. Look at all that. Look at that, so sad. This is the reason why I haven't been showing you around in my garden, because a lot of my roses just really looks quite terrible. This is Port of Sunlight, and this is a David Austin rose, an almost literally thornless David Austin rose. And one rose that really has shine under this heat is Bathsheba, and didn't have many blooms open properly in the earlier than the season, but seeing all this this heat and sunshine, it really has starting to perform. And this is Gabriel Oak, and Gabriel Oak fortunately doesn't have many flowers for the heat to ruin. But yeah, Bathsheba is a rose that should be growing in a hot climate, because majority of some of the blooms really balled up quite early on in the season, and I really didn't get to see many of the blooms. And down there is a rose called Frederick Minstrel. Frederick Minstrel is a hybrid tea. I think it's a rose bred by Miron. So far I'm quite happy with this rose. It is starting to fill up this area very nicely. Has a very lovely, gorgeous scent as well. This one is your typical formation of a hybrid tea bloom. And this is Bring Me Sunshine. Bring Me Sunshine is a rose bred by David Austin, and I really absolutely don't like the growing habit of this rose. And it is classified as a bush form, but it is more like a climber. So it's not something I like to have this rose in this particular area, because it is I want to keep this area quite low growing. And this is Cathedral Bell. Cathedral Bell is a Del Bar rose, I think. It hasn't really done much for me this year. It's only given me a few flowers, but it is quite an early baby young plant. And this is what? Lady Emma Hamilton. Lady Emma Hamilton has flowered pretty well for me this year. And although I didn't show you many of her blooms, it has been flowering really lovely. Yeah, this is Claire Austin. Claire Austin will most likely be a rose that I would be removing from my garden. A rose that really has given me little joy. Honestly, I really despise this rose quite a lot. I don't really get much joy having this in my garden anymore. And then moving down here, let me show you a Summer Song. Oh my goodness, look at that Summer Song. It is just so leggy. Another rose I would be considering removing from my garden this year. It's just produced, the growing habit is just not very nice, very leggy. Again, very similar to Bring Me Sunshine. I thought I might give this rose another chance, but just seeing some of these blooms now, very unlikely, because I do have a lot of rose coming this year, and I want to make room for some more roses. And this is Timeless Purple. And Timeless Purple was done very well as well under this heat. And a very gorgeous variety. And I have all the Timeless collection, all the pinks, reds and cream, what have you. And look at that. That size of my Asian pear. Look at that. I am so glad that I thinned some of these fruits away, and it really has produced some enormous sized Asian pears. Look at that. I think my sister's gonna be well jealous because I don't think hers is as big as these. Come on. Yeah, look at that. And this is another amazing rose under the heat is Strawberry Hill. Strawberry Hill has really performed very well since it's been planted in the ground. And look at that, it is gorgeous rose. And there are a couple of cuttings which my sister gave me. This is Emma Bridgewater and Tranquility. Tranquility is these are both David Austin roses. I really need to give these couple of cuttings attention. And what a sight that is! That is so horrible. You see that? That's a lot of small caterpillars eating away the foliage. And I've not noticed this one, otherwise I would have removed some of these foliage. This is Silas Marner. And Silas Marner is a terrible rose for heat. And it isn't a rose that I like anymore, to tell you the truth. And I do have a couple of small babies down there. This is Desdemona. And Desdemona is yet to be potted up. And so is Eve Piaget. I'm quite disappointed with this rose. Hence, I've not really given this rose too much attention, although it is one of the most fragrant roses in my garden. But it is quite a difficult rose. This bloom has only been a couple of days old. It really is such a shame. But I do like the scent of this rose, and I will eventually pot it up. And this is this is Olivia Rose Austin. Olivia Rose Austin has produced a lot of fresh growth, and second flush was terrible. This blooms was tiny, very small, and I know this rose likes to be in a cooler climate because this heat really does little good to this rose. And this is Almric Rose. Was one of the run rose that I wanted to dig up, but this year it really has done very well, producing a lot of flowers. It is it's become quite a decent rose in my garden, and this one has been an excellent rose. This is Jamie L. Austin, and Jamie L. Austin is one of the most heat-tolerant David Austin rose in my garden. An absolute amazing performer. You see, some of these blooms, again, not fazed by this heat whatsoever. And lastly, look at a bloom from Bathsheba, because I haven't seen a bloom from Bathsheba for a very long time. I will cut this off and smell it, because I haven't smelled this rose for a long time, and I know the fragrance of this rose is really amazing. And I'm gonna call this a day now because the sun is starting to come out and I need to get back to work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a lovely day. The season isn't over just yet, and there is more flower to come, and I will see you in my next video. I've just finished making a video. Just as well, the sun is starting to come out. I am sat down with a bottle of drink in my hand and enjoying the bloom from Bathsheba. What a wonderful, beautiful rose this is. The color, the form, and the scent. Wow, amazing. I am just so mesmerized by the fragrance of the rose. Smells very rosy, very fruity, with hints of myrrh. Yeah, it's just a wonderful fragrance. And for me, this is one of the most heat-tolerant rose for me of the day in my garden. Yeah, but it does have a tendency of balling up with just like a delightful perfumer over there. But this one does like the heat, and I really highly recommend this rose for anyone who lives in a warm and hot climate. But I still love this rose anyway. Wow. Well, that's it. I hope you all have a lovely proper day.